Next up is Colonel Retired John Herren, another great friend, another great leader on the battlefield, Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, 7th Cavalry, steady, strong, good leader, good commander, all the way through, and a good friend to ride the river with. John, take it away.
Thank you, Joe. First off, I'd like to, I look a little younger there, don't I? Yeah.
We're taking home.
First, I'd like to recognize a special guest here tonight who is a specialist, Travis Webb, a double amputee from Walter Reed, and he was with the 2nd and the 7th Cav, and he's sitting up over in that. I consider myself very fortunate for many reasons. One, I'm here. Number two, when I joined the 1st Cav, or it was the 2nd Infantry, and then became the 1st Cav, I trained under Hal Moore for over a year. I command my company, and we went through the air assault training, and he was a terrific leader and trainer, and he trained us hard, and it paid off. I remember the runs and the physical activity, the parades, the discipline. He instilled that in us, and that meant a lot. And then, of course, I was with him in combat, and he was a fantastic commander. He made the right decisions, I thought. He didn't commit the whole battalion when I had one of my platoons cut off, but he played the battle the way a great commander does. And then when I got into the fight at LZ X-Ray, I went in with Bruce Crandall, a great aviator who I'd been training with him, and he was delivering cigars to me as well, and his people, and Ed Freeman. And then once we were in there and the battle developed, who did I have on my left but towing it all? A classmate of mine from West Point, and a great soldier, and I had my left flank covered. And at a particular time in the battle when we were really engaged, and I moved around to sort of an open area because I had happened to have a direct contact with a North Vietnamese scout, and my M16 fell apart. So that was not a good situation, but I moved around to the left, and there was Bill Beck with his machine gun, and I said, "Bill, they're in that creek bed." And he was, of course, firing into that area. So I had Bill Beck there. And I was going to mention Joe Marm, who got the Medal of Honor, because I watched him assault a anthill in a move to go after the platoon that I had that was cut off. And then, of course, we had Joe Galloway reporting all this. I remember when we brought the platoon out on stretchers, all these reporters had come in by, I think by Chinook, and they all were trying to, get the story, and I wouldn't talk to them because it was a very dramatic moment for me with my men coming in on those stretchers that we had gone out and gotten. But Joe never harassed me like that, and of course, he was a great reporter. I think one of the reasons that this battalion did so well is because of, as everyone has said here, the men we had and the NCOs. I had non-commissioned officers who had fought in Korea. I had one, a platoon sergeant, who enlisted at the age of 15 to go to the Army and go to Korea. And he got over there, and they found out he was 15, and they sent him right back. I had another one who blew a bridge at the Chosin Reservoir in the Korean War, who unfortunately was killed with the platoon that was cut off. And he was killed covering the platoon's move into a defensive position so they could hold out for the next 24 hours. They were great NCOs and the men, as others had mentioned. You know, I've been asked over the years, did you ever think that you wouldn't make it? And I never did, because of, number one, Hal Moore. I knew as long as Hal Moore was in command that we were going to make it. And because of the NCOs and men that I had in my company, as well as the other companies. I guess finally I guess one of the greatest honors I had was I had two of my soldiers, or two of my one soldier and one officer who named their sons after me. And that was certainly a tribute. So I'll leave it with that. Thank you.
We're going to bring up next Specialist 4 Bill Beck, Assistant Machine Gunner, B Company?
A company.
A Company, 1st Battalion, 7th Cavalry, LZ X-Ray. You know, in '93, all of us here at this table, went back to Vietnam on a very special trip, and we went back eventually to the battlefields with the old enemy commanders. But before we did, we were all at a dinner at a floating Chinese restaurant on the West Lake in Hanoi. And they scattered us at different tables, and Bill was seated at a table with George Forrest and one of Colonel On's infantry colonels who had been a lieutenant in the battle at X-Ray. And through the interpreter, he asked Beck, "Where were you?" And Beck grabbed a napkin, drew a very accurate, quick sketch of the battlefield, and drew in the Dry Creek bed and put an X right beside it. And George helpfully reached over and drew next to the X the symbol for machine gun. And the North Vietnamese colonel turned white, and his mouth fell open, and he gasped. And through the interpreter, he said to Bill, "Your machine gun killed my battalion, 400 men. My best friend among them, and I am godfather to his daughter. I just married her off last month. This is very hard for me." And Beck looked at him and nodded and said, "Well, it wasn't all that easy for me either." Bill, your mic.